Good morning and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are in good, my dear friends. Today is 11th January 2020. Day is Saturday. We have 4 articles on our table. Normally from Monday to Friday, on an average, we get 6 to 7 articles. But on Saturdays, we have only 4 articles. So the first one that we are going to discuss is a health emergency. It's about polio. But before that, I would like to inform all of you that our pen drive and tablet courses, which are our paid premium courses, are available for various different examinations. Information associated with it, you will find it on StudyIQ.com. That is our portal. And if you have any further question, queries or doubts, you can give us a call on the numbers that you can see on your screen. To download the PDF of today's lecture, do visit my FB page. You can join this Telegram channel. Please make sure that you share this lecture with other students and don't forget to hit the like button if you want this sort of videos on regular basis and want to get notified, then hit that subscribe button and press that bell icon as well. So let's start our discussion on polio. On 7th January 2020, World Health Organization's committee has decided that polio will be kept under this public health emergency of international concern for next 3 months. And this is not something you can say new for this disease called polio. Polio was declared as a PHEIC in 2014 and has continued to remain one since then. So from 2014 till today and for next 3 months, polio will be a PHEIC. Now, why the committee has decided to keep polio under this PHEIC? Because there is a rising risk of international spread of wild polio virus type 1, particularly in South Asia. And remember, India is also part of South Asia. As far as India and polio is concerned, there was a time when India was India used to have highest number of polio cases in the world. But fortunately, and I would say with the help of government, people's participation, and credit goes to all those medical professionals, right? They played a very important role, and particularly I would say mothers, right? Mothers as well played a very important role in eradicating this very deadly or dangerous disease called polio from our country. I have a tiny, or you can say simple question for you. Can you give me the name of or the particular year in which India was declared polio-free by WHO? I just want that year. Let me see how many of you can get it right. So, as far as polio is concerned, a very basic detail, it is caused by a virus. Remember, you find it very simple at present, but if you were in a prelims examination and if you have already gone through some questions, you are struggling, your mind is struggling, and then you find this sort of simple question that polio is spread by bacteria, virus, etc., and many students will make mistake because they were or they will be under pressure. So this sort of basic information, you need to pay attention to this sort of things as well, right? It is called attention to detail, and it is very important. Now, the virus spreads from person to person and can infect a person's spinal cord, and this is one of the main reasons why people who are affected with this polio, they have disabilities. One more important thing that I would like to share with you is that a country is declared polio free when for 3 successive years, if there is no report of new case, right? Only then, 3 years. Remember, very important information. For 3 successive years, right? One after one. So 2014, no cases. 2015, no cases. 2016, no cases. Then in 2017, WHO may declare that particular country as a polio-free nation. Now, South Asia, right? As far as this international spread, and remember, we are talking about wild polio virus type 1. We are going to talk about one more virus as well in a minute. But first of all, let's understand that in 2019, as far as this type 1 is concerned, there were 156 new cases. And it is a matter of concern because in 2018, there were just 28 cases. In 2019, we see a big jump, 156 cases. And out of this 156, you have 128 in Pakistan. And 28 in Afghanistan. Now, as far as this international spread is concerned, these two countries are sharing border with Iran, and we find people traveling from these two countries to Iran and vice versa. So there are chances that this virus may spread to Iran as well. So this is the big issue with wild type 1 virus, that it can get exported, or I would say like it can spread very wildly. To control this thing, what we need is vaccination. We have to make sure that we provide vaccination to each and every child on this planet, particularly tropical countries, I would say. But we should not limit ourselves to tropical country. Of course, virus and other things, they are quite active in tropical region. But vaccination is one of the most important, I would say, defense against polio. Now, in Afghanistan, back in 2018, there were some 860,000 children who were not lucky enough to have this polio vaccine because of a security threat. A few years ago, I was going through a documentary by Al Jazeera, and it was about polio in Pakistan. And there are some terrorist organizations who are issuing threats that if you provide, if this medical professionals, if they are spotted providing this polio drops to kids, they will be shot dead. And this is one of the main reasons. Security threat is one of the main reasons why so many children, unfortunately, in Pakistan and Afghanistan, they are not vaccinated. But there are people out there, as you can see on your screen, right? They are taking all the risks they can, and they are ensuring that the people of their country, particularly children, are vaccinated. So this is a big problem in this part of the world. Now, vaccine-derived polio virus. This is a different type of polio virus, and we find this in 16 countries. Now, the most dangerous thing about this vaccine-derived polio virus is that, as you can see, the statement from, I would like to quote this committee, the rapid emergence of multiple circulating vaccine-derived poliovirus type 2 strains in several countries is unprecedented and very concerning and not yet fully understood. This is the biggest problem, that we are not that much sure about, or we don't know 100% about this vaccine-derived poliovirus, and this makes it a bit dangerous, as we can understand. 86 cases were registered in Angola, African country. Then you have this Democratic Republic of Congo, 63 cases of this vaccine-derived poliovirus, and Nigeria, 18 cases. Regarding Nigeria, I would like to share one more important information, that Nigeria was the third country, with Afghanistan and Pakistan. The third country was Nigeria that was affected with this wild polio type 1. But from last 3 years, there has not been a single case of this wild virus. And hopefully this year, that is in 2020, WHO will declare Nigeria a polio-free nation. Keep this information in your head. Second topic is eloquently reticent. This one is about Jammu and Kashmir. It's about two things. One is section 144 of CRPC, and it's also about internet shutdown. But it's not just limited to this thing, it is more than that. Now, Supreme Court has declared that free speech and expression that are covered under Article 19(1)(a) and right to carry on any trade using the medium of internet, that is covered by Article 19(1)(g). 19(1)(a) and 19(1)(g), these are the two articles that you need to keep in your mind, or they are important for you. So Supreme Court has said that these two things are constitutionally protected. Constitutionally protected, that means our constitution, that is above everything. Above Supreme Court, we have constitution. Above our parliament, our prime minister, president, we have our constitution. So it is a constitutional guarantee, you can say. These are our fundamental rights. And from 5th August 2019, what we have witnessed in 5th August 2019, let me write it down a bit properly here. 5th August 2019, we saw this revocation of Article 370. And since then, Jammu and Kashmir, different parts of Jammu and Kashmir are under section 144, and there is a sort of internet shutdown and this has been done by government. Now, the restriction upon such fundamental rights should be in consonance with the mandate under Article 19, 2 and 6 of the Constitution, inclusive of the test of proportionality. This has been also said by Supreme Court, and it is also there in our Constitution now. The restrictions, if you are, let's say, if you are applying Section 144, if you are controlling this free speech and expression, then you should have a valid reason. You have to apply your mind. When I'm saying you, I'm talking about government authorities. They have to apply their logic, they have to apply their common sense, they have to apply their mind before applying this Section 144 or before this internet shutdown, because they are playing with, or they are taking a decision that will directly affect our fundamental rights that are protected under this Article 19.1a and 19.1g. Now, the power under Section 144, the Supreme Court has said, that cannot be used to suppress a legitimate expression of opinion and grievances, exercise of any democratic rights. Our Constitution guarantees us that if we have any, let's say, if we are not happy with government, or people are not happy with government, then we have every right, and we are a democratic country with a constitution. So we have this right that we can protest, we can tweet, we can come out on street, we can write letters to government and authorities expressing that we are not happy about something, or something is not right, and this is our right. But government cannot use this Section 144. It can use, if, let's say, if a government is of the opinion that something may go very wild, or a protest may turn violent and it can result in deaths and injuries to so many people, property and other things, then government can use this Section 144 as a sort of a proactive measure or a preventive measure to control this sort of, or to avoid this sort of situation. But if you are criticizing government, if government is not right and people are criticizing or are passing their opinion, negative or critical opinion, that does not mean that government can use this. It's not a tool for government to suppress our voice. It is a sort of preventive measure used, or should be used, only for a good thing, right? Good thing, I mean to say, it can avoid deaths of people, it can avoid this injuries, as well as public property damages and other things. So this has been clearly expressed by the Apex Court, comprising Justice N.V. Ramanna, R. Subhas Reddy and B.R. Gavai. The sad part or disappointing part of this decision, or this bench, is that, or Supreme Court, as far as this article is concerned, is that the disappointing aspect of the verdict is the court's failure to give a ruling on the validity of the government's action. Government has done something that government cannot justify. Government is not having any sort of written or proper explanation. And court has also observed this thing, that this internet shutdown is, if you are doing this thing, then you have to justify, you have to clarify like why you are doing this thing, and there should be proper reasons behind it. You cannot suppress a legitimate expression of opinion. Having said that, it's sad that Supreme Court has not, has not been that harsh on government. Now, as far as this internet shutdown is concerned, let me tell you that in 2019, you can note down these figures if you want, they are important for you. In 2019, India lost $1.3 billion because of internet shutdown. 1.3 billion. As far as the global economy is concerned, the damage because of internet shutdown is estimated $8 billion. And if we talk about Kashmir itself, because of internet shutdown, it has lost what is 900 crore rupees. And this research has been done by a UK-based organization called Top 10 VPN. Just for your reference, I'm adding the name here. So this information is not covered in this editorial, but this information is important for us to understand, like how bad is internet shutdown as far as business is concerned. It is not healthy for our economy. It states categorically that an indefinite ban on the internet is impermissible but fails to direct the restoration of services. Now, for a very long period, it's been 5 months now that Jammu and Kashmir is under this internet ban. And the Supreme Court has also said this thing. It has categorically stated, clearly stated that indefinite ban is not allowed. But then as well, it has not restored the service. 144 CRPC, the court does not go beyond directing the authorities to review all their orders and restrictions forthwith. Now, do you know this thing that government has to pass, or if government is, Supreme Court has said that if government is issuing this sort of Section 144 orders, then it has to have a proper written decision, or it should have written documents like why government is in the need to implement this Section 144 CRPC, so that in future people can at least, if they want to challenge, then they can challenge it. But at present, what has happened is that government cannot or could not produce all the orders. Like so far, government has issued so many orders. In 2019 itself, there were some, I would say, as far as this internet shutdown hours are concerned, there were somewhere around 4,000 hours of shutdown or more than that. And government cannot produce the reasons or government's stand behind these restrictions. So this is something that is not allowed in a democratic country where we have proper constitution, free courts. So government should keep a record. And the sad thing about Supreme Court is that that government was not able to provide any evidence then as well. This thing has not been, you can say, removed by Supreme Court. So that's what this article is all about. Moving on to next one, it's about dengue, and this is the article. It's written by a doctor. So let's go through it now. 3 pillars are important as far as gaining control over dengue is concerned. The first one is promoting the use of vaccine, very important thing. Second thing is vector control. It's all about controlling mosquitoes. And the third one is proper case management. Each and every case in each and every area is important because, again, it's a viral disease. Now, Aedes aegypti is the carrier, and then you have this minor contributor called Aedes albopictus. These are the 2 mosquitoes, predominantly this one, and then you have minor contributor Aedes albopictus. Now, one interesting fact about mosquitoes: a few years ago I was going through these diseases, and I was quite shocked or surprised to know that mosquitoes have been on this earth before human beings, and we have seen so many different versions of mosquitoes, like they have evolved. And it's not possible, or scientists they say that it's not a good idea to eliminate or to extinct all these mosquitoes, right? It's not easy as well. I'm not sure whether it is achievable or not, but it's not going to be that easy. You have this big tropical region, and you find different types of mosquitoes in tropical region, and this dengue and yellow fever and malaria and all these diseases are tropical diseases. Now, Aedes eggs can remain dormant for more than a year. They will hatch once they come in contact with, or you can say they can stay deactive for a year, and they can become active as soon as they come in touch with or contact with water. So this makes them bit this Aedes eggs or this disease a bit challenging. In our country, we have urbanization, that is very poor town planning, as well as improper sanitation. I believe that if we just look after our sanitation, if we keep our neighborhood, our cities, our states, our country clean, then we can get rid of so many, or the numbers will definitely drop down. I'm not saying that it will completely eradicate malaria and yellow fever or this dengue, but we will see you can say a nosedive as far as numbers are concerned of these diseases, this communicable diseases. Aedes as well as incommunicable diseases as well. We will find a big impact, a positive impact. Now, Aedes mosquitoes cannot fly beyond 100 meters. These are some common information, but we'll go through it quickly. They bite during daytime, so it's better to keep our windows shut during daytime. And preventing water stagnation is very important. If you have a stagnant pool or puddle of water, then these eggs can come in contact and they can get active. So proper larvicides and adulticides is important, and it should be done a bit frequently if you have this sort of stagnation or this puddles around your place. Unfortunately, we are lack in numbers as far as skilled workers are concerned, both in private world as well as government departments. We have so many vacancies, and this disease it has killed so many people every year. It's a very, like, as far as this fatalities are concerned, then you find the name of dengue and it stays in news as well most of the time. But then as well, government is not taking it that seriously, because there are so many departments where we find vacancies are still there. And unfortunately, in some places, you have under reports as well, like the actual figures are not reported because of political pressure, or many a times, politicians, it will not look good for their image, for their political party. If in their constituency, if you have big numbers of people getting affected with dengue, and if big numbers are there as far as deaths are concerned. So this sort of politics is also played in our country. That's very sad. Now, with this article, the doctor is saying that, generally we talk about platelet, and it's quite common. Means I saw a few of my friends, their last season, they were affected by, a few months ago, they were affected by this dengue, and when I visited them in hospital, so they were discussing about platelet, and of course I was also discussing about this platelet, like it goes up and then it comes down. But I'm quite surprised to know this thing, that WHO guidelines are not about platelet transfusion. If someone is not having that many platelets, then, and if there is a case of active bleeding, then as well it's better to go for blood transfusion rather than platelet transfusion. That's what WHO says. And we have this papaya pan or papaya leaves, as well as this Nilavembu suranaman. Now, again, the doctor is claiming in this article that people are using it. It is widely promoted as well. We find pills of this papaya leaf and this particular Nilavembu, but we don't have any proper results of scientific tests yet. But still, people are using it. So he, as per this article is concerned, the doctor is concerned, he is talking about fluid management. That is the most important part, and we don't have evidence. It may be helpful, maybe not. It all depends after final test and final approval, but still people are using it. Last one that we have, it's about human rights, something that you can connect with this Jammu and Kashmir topic that we have already discussed. Now, there are a few international agencies and United Nations agencies. They are critical about this Article 370 that was, you can say, revoked by our country or our government, and they are critical about CAA as well. Now, responding to this criticism, India has clearly stated that this is an internal matter of our country, and we are a sovereign nation, and we have this right to take decisions, right? And our decisions are sovereign decisions. So basically, India has said that you don't, you mind your own business, don't interfere it or put your nose in our business, right? Let us do what we want to do, and we are doing everything in our country. We have a constitution, we are a democratic country. These are the, you can say, the responses provided by India. Now, if we look at the answer of our country or our government, and if we look at from the prism of modern international human rights, then we have to understand this thing. There was a time, if we go back in history, then classic international law, these human rights laws were not recognizing individuals. It was all about government and public. But modern international human rights, they do recognize individuals. From 1919, so from last 1 century, 100 years, we have seen various different laws, and because of this laws, these human rights have evolved as well as our understanding about human rights it has evolved. Now, in 1919, evolution of labor standards led to the establishment of International Labour Office. Later on, we saw in 1926 Slavery Convention adopted by League of Nations, and because of this 1919 treaty was the first human rights treaty based on the principle of dignity of human being. And then we saw this Slavery Convention. People started, or countries were opposing this slave trade and this concept of slavery. 1948, Universal Declaration of Human Rights was adopted by United Nations. And as I told you, like we have seen in last 100 years, things have progressed for good, in positive direction. And India has also ratified several international human rights treaties, and periodically we have been submitting our reports as well. So when we have ratified international human rights treaties, when we are submitting reports as well about human rights in our country, then we cannot all of a sudden, you can say, step out, or we cannot say that we are independent and we are sovereign. If international community is talking about something, if they are criticizing us, then we have to pay attention. And I would say, apart from paying attention, right, we have to work as well. If something is not right, then definitely we should correct it. When I say we, I'm talking about we as our country, India. Now, India has always said that we are largest democracy in the world. We have independent judiciary, we have free media, we have an active civil society. But that does not mean that all our decisions in today's world, I'm talking about in today's world where human rights have developed, evolved, and we are also part of this international community, we cannot use this sovereign, or we cannot hide behind this thing called sovereignty or sovereign wall. We cannot use it for our defense. As far as discrimination is concerned, it's not something new, and it's not something that you see only in our country. All societies, as far as my understanding is concerned, I'm not aware about any society where you don't find discrimination. You find different types of discrimination based on money, based on education, based on many times on race as well, on region, on language, on food. You find all different types of discrimination. But these are social discriminations, and with the help of government, with the help of laws, as well as with the help of understanding education, we can minimize discrimination. The problem is with institutionalized discrimination, like apartheid system of South Africa. It is an example of institutionalized discrimination. I'm not saying that CAA is an attempt by the government of India as for an institutionalized discrimination. No. But if OHCHR, that is Office of High Commission of Human Rights, if they are expressing, or if they are saying that CAA is fundamentally discriminatory in nature, then we should provide a good, you can say, explanation to them. We are doing it. Our foreign ministry and our you can say this diplomatic houses or embassies and high commissions, right? They are engaging with different countries. I'll give you one example of our new foreign secretary. Like he was Indian ambassador to United States of America, and when the CAA was passed at that point of time, he played a very important role in informing the American government about CAA, in briefing as well as making or educating American government about CAA. So we are doing this thing now. We should do the same thing with OHCHR, because at the end of the day, it is about our image. We are not a country that has promoted institutionalized discrimination. But if by whatever reason, if the international world, or you can say media, or maybe this sort of agencies, if they are forming an image, if they think like we are heading towards this direction, then we should clarify it. Now there are a few critics, like we have this Gautam Bhatia, who is an advocate of Supreme Court, and he has said that human right violations in Jammu and Kashmir, as far as this violations are concerned, the Supreme Court has itself ducked, evaded, and adjourned. Like Supreme Court has also not taken that responsibility that it should take, as per this gentleman Gautam Bhatia. And it's not that we have lack of resources. We have good experience, as well as we have all the resources to enforce fundamental rights which are there in our constitution. Human rights are also covered by our constitution. So we need to take them more seriously, and we need to implement them at grassroots level. People should feel them, or should be able to enjoy them. Now, news items very quickly. Supreme Court stays NCLAT order reinstating Cyrus Mistry. Ministry of Defence approves rules of business for DMA. That is defence affairs. And then you have ED attaches assets of Kocher couple. Some 75 crore rupee worth asset has been seized. Supreme Court asks Centre to reply to UN officials' plea on Rohingya. Now, this let me tell you, this you have this news items. You have to go through them. Right? I will explain you this editorials and articles, but news items, I will leave it on you guys. They are easy to understand, and you should go through them, right, by yourself. New facility to tackle cyber crimes has been launched by Amit Shah. We have launched a new Indian Cyber Crime Coordination Center, and USA has rejected Iraq's request for troop withdrawal. Can you imagine? USA's troops are there in Iraq. Now, Iraq wants them to, go out of Iraq, but USA is rejecting. So this happens when you allow a big power when you allow them to set up their military base in your country. It's easy for them to set up, but it's very difficult for any country, particularly a weaker country, to get rid of the superpower. And that's everything in today's discussion, dear friends. Today is Saturday, as we all know, right? So tomorrow is Sunday, and tomorrow there will be no Hindu analysis lecture. The next meeting between you and I, as far as Hindu analysis is concerned, will take place on Monday. Till then, enjoy your studies. Don't forget to check out daily financial news analysis later on today. And I will see you all on Monday. God bless you all. Enjoy your weekend. Jai Hind.